SMT Nation, we are back. Nation, we have an AT&T wireless network update. We love these updates because they tell us everything about the future of the networks and how they're going to be built and how they're going to perform. There are a couple of things here that do get a little technical, but for the most part, should be kind of easy to understand. And of course, in typical SMT fashion, I'll be sure to break it down into ways that you guys can understand. And we'll do it like in common language. Okay, so the news here actually from the AT&T newsroom on this 5G network build update. I'll be sure to link it. That link will be in the description. Other ways to support us down in the description as well. Like and share our videos, subscribe if you're new here, and turn on the bell notifications icon to never miss an upload from the SMT. All right, guys. So AT&T has announced a partnership, new collaborations with new vendors that AT&T hasn't really discussed before or worked with before. To be specific, the company is Mavenir. Mavenir is a RAN vendor that we've heard connected to Dish. And I have speculated in the past, and I don't have any proof of this, but I've speculated that what Charlie Ergen and Dish have done with their 5G network has impressed a lot of executives at these bigger carriers. Like the question is like, how the hell did you build a network that covers 70% of the pops across the country in just a few years with less than $10 billion, right? And it has to do with stuff like this, finding innovative vendors that can give you open access platform-based vendor radio gear at like ultra cheap prices that give you scalability, flexibility, and, you know, all of those advantages. And I think John Stankey was watching Dish, and I think he was discussing things with Dish as well. They do have a partnership, and you know, I'm sure they've had meetings with, you know, some of these companies about what Dish has done and how this all works and those types of things. And now they got this partnership, and we're gonna go ahead and throw in Fujitsu, a radio vendor for Dish as well. AT&T has a partnership with them also. So all of this, and you know, we're kind of getting to the point where now we can get into some of the technicals. Okay, so AT&T is moving towards an ORAN platform across their network. They want to have like 70% of their network traffic going through this ORAN platform, and doing it through like their 5G network core and the cost savings, the scalability, all the benefits of ORAN. Now you're kind of seeing how it's manifesting itself, getting new radio vendors involved, pinned up against each other, AT&T able to leverage the best deals, get best pricing. Now it kind of makes a whole lot of sense. Now, with respect to the Mavenir contract and the radio gear that we're going to be seeing from them, it's going to be focused on crowded urban areas from this company, right? So that's interesting because typically those are areas that are very dense with networks. Like you've got macro sites that are all over rooftops. You've got like the tall macros that are on the monopoles, kind of like on the outside portions of the city, kind of blasting in. And then you've got small cells. It looks to me like this is going to be a small cell based solution for AT&T for now, at least with respect to Mavenir and Fujitsu. Maybe it's the fact that they can produce smaller radios. Maybe it's the weight limitations, the space limitations. Maybe it's cost-based. Maybe it's the fact that they've got so much radio demand that they're like, we got to get the best deal possible. Remember, I won't even call it speculated. I've made it pretty clear. AT&T is focused on building the lowest cost 5G network. I don't think it's going to be the best. I don't think it's going to be the biggest. I think it's going to be the lowest cost. I used to think that was going to be T-Mobile. I've shifted my position. All of AT&T's moves have been focused on cost cutting, not really about capacity maximum, right? So I'm just throwing that out there. And then when I look at moves like this, with these kind of like smaller vendors, like that's not Ericsson radios, that's not Samsung radios. They've moved away from Nokia. I'm looking at all this, right? And then I look at some of the technicals. It says here that with the Mavenir announcement, C-band small cell radios that are TDD are going to be 4T, 4R dual band small cell radios. And we're talking about, you know, less capacity when you go 4T, 4R. I think for future proofing radio gear, probably want to be higher order than 4T4R, right? You want to be probably something like 16T16R. You want this gear to have maximum spectral efficiency potential. The higher order gets you better performance. It enhances beamforming properties, right? So the connection to each device is better. You're getting more capacity throughput, obviously, the theoretical. It's just going to be a better connection, right? And 4T4R, that's like old-fashioned tech. Like we had 4T4R years ago. We're trying to move forward. We're trying to move to 16T16R as a base for small cells. Macro cells, we're talking about, we've seen 32, 32, 64, 64, moving to 128. I mean, there's talks of 256 and all these other things. We'll continue to follow the evolution of the gear. But like 4T4R, I don't like what I'm hearing, people. Okay, so it continues to affirm to me, AT&T with these collaborations, while it's good for AT&T and their cost cutting, I don't think we're going to get the best version of AT&T's wireless network. Maybe it makes less of a difference because they're going to go real dense. They're just going to put a bunch of radios all over the place, so they'll be able to kind of like offload so much usage on all these sites. But you guys know me. I'm always about getting the best when you can, right? And doing the best you can at every turn, right? I don't advise getting cute with stuff. Like AT&T cut it close by splitting C-band and DoD, and then they went with Ericsson exclusively for their RAN network, and Oran and all that, going away from Nokia. And now it all kind of makes sense, right? Every turn, it's about cost cutting, and I'm pretty convicted in this. I still, to this day, am going to stand by my statement. I don't think AT&T is going to build the best 5G network, the most excellent, the largest. It's going to be the lowest cost. I can't see it any other way. I mean, what's the message to you after everything discussed in this video and all the videos I've done in the past? What do you take away from AT&T's process? It seems like it's all cost cutting. It seems like they're trying to get away from managing the network. They're trying to get away from higher capacity solutions because they're more costly. I mean, what part of that screams excellence? What part of that says it's going to be the best 5G network? To me, it says it's going to be the cheapest, lowest cost. And they mentioned that in the earnings conference or the investor conference. They said highest capacity, largest, and lowest marginal cost. I believe lowest marginal cost now. Largest, highest capacity. I don't think so. Not 4T4R. I don't think so. Anyways, drop me a line, comment, tell me what you guys think about all this. Agree or disagree with me. What's your take on this news, good or bad? Sound off in the comment section below. Y'all the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.